She allowed him to strike, then crushed the hidden blade between her fingers, terrified everyone. The grand chamber of Zenith 7 Station gleamed under artificial starlight. 300 species had gathered in the circular assembly hall, each delegation seated in sections designed for their unique biology. Some breathed methane, others required water tanks, and a few existed as pure energy contained in crystalline vessels. This was the Galactic Council, the heart of interstellar civilization. Today, they would meet humanity for the first time. Doctor. Maya Chen walked through the massive entrance doors, her footsteps echoing across the polished floor. She wore a simple gray suit, her black hair tied back in a neat bun. At 5 feet 6 inches tall, she looked small compared to the towering aliens around her. Her brown eyes scanned the chamber with quiet curiosity, not fear. The murmurs began immediately. "That is a human," clicked the insectoid Chittick's ambassador, his multiple eyes focusing on Maya. "They look so fragile." The gesture was met with mixed reactions. Some species returned the courtesy, others simply stared. High Chancellor Vemora, a floating jellyfish-like being, spoke through translation devices. "Dr. Maya Chen of Earth, you stand before the Galactic Council to petition for your species' inclusion in our community. This is a rare honor. Speak your purpose." "Humanity wishes to learn from you, to share with you, and to grow alongside you. We are young in the stars, but eager students." The Krillian was massive, standing nearly 8 feet tall with armored scales covering his body. His species had conquered 40 systems through military might. His yellow eyes fixed on Maya with undisguised contempt. "The Krillian Empire objects," he announced, his voice like grinding stone. "Humans are unknown. Their world may be dangerous, but they themselves appear weak. We cannot allow primitives into this council. They would be a liability, perhaps even a security risk. Proof that you are not merely clever animals playing at diplomacy." Maya nodded slowly. "Then I welcome your scrutiny, Ambassador. We have nothing to hide." She spoke honestly about humanity's violent past, their wars and struggles. But she also described how humans had learned to cooperate, to build peace, to reach for the stars together. The Chittick's ambassador, whose name was Zikthar, seemed particularly interested. "Your species fought each other for thousands of years?" he asked, genuinely curious rather than judgmental. "Yes," Maya replied. "We made many mistakes. We hurt each other terribly, but we learned, we grew. That history taught us the value of understanding, of diplomacy, of choosing peace even when conflict seems easier. It's an ongoing journey, not a finished destination." "The council will deliberate for 3 days. Dr. Chen, you may remain on the station as our guest. We will observe, question, and evaluate. At the end of this period, we vote." A shadow moved wrong in the upper galleries, too quick, too deliberate. Her eyes tracked it for just a moment before it disappeared. Her expression didn't change, but something shifted in her posture. A subtle tension, like a spring quietly coiling. Zikthar approached her as the chamber emptied. "Dr. Chen, that was well spoken. Many of us are curious about humanity. Would you join me for refreshments? I would like to learn more about your world." But as they walked together, she glanced once more toward the upper galleries. The shadow was gone, but she knew what she had seen. Someone had been watching her with more than curiosity. The weight of hostile intent was something humans learned to recognize long ago, back when their ancestors survived among predators. Maya said nothing about it. She simply smiled and listened as Zikthar described his homeworld's 8 moons. But in the back of her mind, she was already preparing. Not for violence, never for violence unless absolutely necessary, but for the possibility that someone might test humanity in ways the Council had not authorized. 3 days, she thought. Whatever comes, we'll face it with open hands and clear hearts. Behind them, in the shadows of the emptying chamber, Ambassador Thorax stood speaking quietly into a communication device. His words were encrypted, his expression cold. "The target is confirmed," he hissed. "Proceed as planned." In the aquatic section, she spoke with Ambassador Thuris of the Delphi, a graceful being who floated in a transparent water tank. Thuris's voice came through speakers as soft waves of bioluminescence rippled across her skin. "Your oceans fascinate me," Thuris said. "So much life, yet your species chose to leave the water millions of years ago. Do you ever regret that choice?" "We go wherever curiosity leads us." His people lived in hive-like structures but valued individual thought highly. "I have been researching your world," Zikthar said, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "The gravity is 0.3 units higher than standard. Your atmosphere has more oxygen. Your weather includes hurricanes, tornadoes, and lightning storms of incredible power. Your muscles have unusual efficiency. Your cardiovascular system operates at pressures that would damage most species. The measurements suggest something remarkable. Your body can withstand forces that would injure most council species, yet you move with such gentleness, such care. Human children are taught to be careful with smaller creatures, with delicate objects. It becomes natural. Your kind is not welcome here. This is your only warning." The third message came during breakfast on the second day. "Accidents happen on space stations. Fragile species should be more careful. Depart today or face consequences." Nothing specific, just warnings to leave. "At least accept a security escort." It suggests we're afraid. She stood alone in the center of the room, holding a solid metal sphere the size of a grapefruit. It was a meditation tool she'd brought from Earth, made of dense steel alloy. Maya closed her eyes and breathed slowly. In her hand, the sphere began to deform. Not quickly, not dramatically, but steadily. Her fingers pressed into the metal like it was clay, leaving deep impressions. She held the pressure for 30 seconds, then released it. The sphere now bore the clear imprint of her grip. She set it aside and continued her evening routine as if nothing unusual had happened. This was normal for her, a simple exercise to maintain physical readiness. She did it every night before sleep. Meanwhile, in the lower levels of Zenith 7, a very different meeting was taking place. Ambassador Thorax stood in a darkened cargo bay, speaking with a figure that seemed to blur at the edges. The Shadowkin assassin was nearly invisible even in direct light, his body naturally bending photons around itself. "The target is protected by standard station security," Thorax said. "Nothing that will trouble you. The Council must see that humans are vulnerable, that they cannot be protected adequately. The Krillian Empire would expand, and no weak-looking species would stand in their way with talks of peace and cooperation." The next morning, security officers appeared at Maya's door. A stern-looking Vaxian officer, whose species resembled upright wolves, stood at attention. "Dr. Chen, we've intercepted intelligence suggesting a threat against you. A Shadowkin assassin has been hired. We can reschedule your evaluation. Their blades can cut through any known armor. They're invisible, silent, and have never failed a contract. I trust in the Council's justice, and I trust that whoever comes for me will find humanity surprising. Your concern is appreciated. Tomorrow would test more than just Earth's petition. It would test whether the galaxy could understand what humans truly were beneath their gentle appearance." The final day arrived with a tension that filled every corridor of Zenith 7 station. Delegates from 300 species gathered once more in the Grand Chamber, their conversations hushed and expectant. Word had spread about the threat against the human ambassador, though officially nothing had been announced. Maya Chen entered the chamber exactly on time, walking with the same calm grace she had shown from the beginning. She wore a different suit today, deep blue like Earth's oceans, with a small silver pin shaped like her home planet. Her hands were empty, relaxed at her sides. Zigthar rushed to meet her at the entrance. Dr. Chen, please reconsider. It's not too late to postpone. I won't let it lock away the future that our peoples could share. If one was truly here, detection would be nearly impossible. Chancellor Vemora's voice resonated through the chamber. We gather for the final session regarding Earth's petition to join the Galactic Council. Dr. Maya Chen, you have spent 3 days among us. Many have spoken with you, observed you, and learned about your species. Now you will deliver your final statement before we vote. The lighting systems focused on her, making her small frame the center of attention for hundreds of alien eyes. She took a breath and began. Honored Chancellor, esteemed delegates, I stand before you not as a representative of a perfect species, but of a learning one. Humans have made terrible mistakes in our history. We have fought wars, destroyed our environment, and hurt each other in countless ways. We learned that strength without compassion is tyranny. We learned that intelligence without wisdom is dangerous. We learned that survival without cooperation is merely existence, not life. Earth asks to join this council not because we have all the answers, but because we want to learn from you. We want to share our experiences, our perspectives, our hope for a future where different species work together for the common good. We seek friendship, knowledge, and the chance to prove that humanity can be a positive force in this galaxy. You speak of cooperation, but your kind barely stopped fighting each other. The Krillian Empire maintains that humans are too dangerous, too unpredictable too. That's what you really believe, isn't it, Ambassador? But so is choosing when and how to use one's strength. That choice defines character more than the strength itself. The Shadowkin assassin materialized like smoke becoming solid, his form barely visible even in full light. In his hand was the weapon his species was famous for, a blade so thin it existed at the molecular level, capable of cutting through any known armor, any shield, any defense. Security forces shouted warnings, reaching for weapons they knew would be too slow. The blade struck toward Maya's heart, moving faster than most eyes could follow. But Maya had already begun to turn. Her hand snapped upward with startling speed, fingers spread. The molecular blade met her palm and stopped. The entire chamber froze in disbelief. Maya's thumb and forefinger closed around the blade, gripping it between them. The Shadowkin assassin pulled back instinctively, trying to retrieve his weapon, but it didn't budge. Maya held it as easily as someone might hold a piece of paper. "Please," she said quietly to the assassin, her voice sad rather than angry. "Don't struggle. I don't want to hurt you." Maya applied pressure. The sound that filled the chamber was like metal screaming. The molecular blade, supposedly indestructible, designed to cut through anything, began to crumple between Maya's fingers. It folded, compressed, and shattered into fragments that tinkled onto the floor like broken glass. The Shadowkin stumbled backward, his natural camouflage failing completely as shock overwhelmed his control. His eyes were wide with primal fear. Maya stood perfectly still, the crushed remains of the blade falling from her hand. She wasn't breathing hard. She wasn't even trembling. Her expression held only sadness and disappointment. The silence in the chamber was absolute. 300 species, thousands of individuals, all struck speechless by what they had witnessed. Finally, Maya spoke, her voice carrying clearly in the stillness. "I am sorry you felt the need to do this," she told the frozen assassin. "I am sorry someone convinced you I was a threat worth killing, but I want you to understand something important. High gravity, dangerous predators, extreme conditions. We evolved to survive all of it. Our bones are dense. Our muscles are efficient. Our bodies can endure forces that would injure most species here. We choose gentleness. We choose patience. We choose to protect rather than dominate. That choice, honored delegates, is what makes us human. Guards, please take him into custody, but treat him well. He was a tool, not the true threat." "Now," Maya said calmly, Shall we proceed with the vote? Around her, fragments of the shattered blade glittered on the polished floor like scattered diamonds, each piece a reminder of what had just occurred. Chancellor Vemora was the first to recover. Dr. Chen, what? How is this possible? May I explain? Earth is what you classify as a Category 9 death world, but I don't think most of you truly understood what that means. Every step we take on our world, every movement we make, we're carrying extra weight. A human child learning to walk is already building strength that exceeds most adult species here. Our atmosphere is richer in oxygen than most worlds. This means our cells burn energy more efficiently. Our cardiovascular systems work under higher pressure. Our bodies are designed for performance in conditions that would exhaust other species quickly. Humans learned long ago to control our strength. When I shook hands with many of you over these 3 days, I was constantly monitoring my grip. When I picked up objects, I was careful not to crush them. When I walked, I was mindful not to crack the floor panels. We call it being careful. It's so ingrained in our culture that we do it without thinking. I use it to maintain muscle tone. Each evening, I shape it with my hands, then reshape it again. It helps me stay calibrated, helps me remember my own strength so I can continue to control it properly. You're claiming all humans can do this. I don't believe it. I am, by human standards, quite ordinary in terms of physical capability. Our soldiers, our construction workers, our athletes, they operate at levels far beyond what I just demonstrated. And yet, they choose to use that strength carefully, thoughtfully, in service of building rather than destroying. Ambassador Thuris spoke through her translator, her bioluminescence pulsing rapidly. Why did you let him strike? You could have stopped the blade before it reached you. You needed to see. You needed to understand both our capability and our choice. I let the blade touch me because I wanted to show you that we can be struck and survive. I caught it because I wanted to show you that we can defend ourselves. I crushed it because I wanted to demonstrate the reality of human strength. But most importantly, I released this person unharmed because I wanted to show you our values. Revenge would have been easy. Violence would have been justified by your laws. But humans learned something important through our bloody history. We learned that true strength is shown not in how much damage you can inflict, but in how much damage you can prevent. We learned that protecting life, even the life of someone who tried to harm you, is the highest expression of power. Not because we are perfect, but because we understand the responsibility that comes with strength. Not because we have conquered violence, but because we have learned to choose peace. If we decide that humans are too dangerous to join us, because that would prove we don't deserve membership. If humans are this strong, how can other species trust that you will always choose restraint? Trust isn't given instantly, it's built through repeated choices. We hope you'll give us the chance to build that trust. Some of you can manipulate energy fields. Others can process information at speeds that would overwhelm human brains. Many of you have technologies we can barely understand. But you've learned to work together, to trust each other despite your differences. All we ask is the same opportunity. Judge us not by what we could do, but by what we choose to do. That is the measure of any civilization. The evidence of his involvement in hiring the assassin had been quickly uncovered once investigators knew where to look. As guards approached him, Thorax's expression twisted with rage and humiliation. His carefully laid plan had not just failed, it had backfired spectacularly, revealing humanity's nature in a way that made them more impressive, not less. Chancellor Vemora raised a tentacle for attention. We will now take a recess before voting. Council members, consider carefully what you have witnessed today. Consider not just the demonstration of strength, but the demonstration of character. We reconvene in 1 hour. That wasn't my intention. Those are resources humans have learned to value greatly. Now the decision rested with the council. Zikthar found her there, bringing 2 containers of a mild stimulant drink popular among station residents. "I thought you might appreciate company," he said, settling beside her. "Thank you," Maya said, accepting the drink carefully, mindful of the container's fragility. "Are the delegates very frightened?" "Some are," Zikthar admitted. "Others are fascinated. Many are debating intensely. Your demonstration has created quite the division." "I'm sorry for that," Zikthar said firmly. "Truth is uncomfortable sometimes, but it's always better than comfortable lies. You showed us reality. What we do with that knowledge is our choice, not your fault." Maya smiled at him. "You've been a good friend during this process." "Regardless of the outcome, I'm grateful for that." "As am I," Zikthar replied. "I have learned much about humans, about strength and gentleness existing together, about choosing peace despite having the capacity for violence. These are valuable lessons." They sat in companionable silence until the summons came to return to the chamber. The assembly had reconvened, but the atmosphere had changed. The earlier panic had settled into something more complex, a mixture of caution, curiosity, and careful consideration. Maya noticed that many delegates watched her differently now, with a respect tinged with wariness. Chancellor Vemora called the session to order. "Before we vote, there are statements to be made. Ambassador Thorax of the Krillian Empire has been arrested for conspiracy to commit murder. Evidence recovered from his communications confirms he hired the Shadowkin assassin." A rumble of anger and disappointment moved through the assembly. Thorax was being led away in restraints, his scales dark with shame and fury. "Additionally," Vemora continued, "the Shadowkin assassin has provided testimony. He states that Dr. Chen spoke to him with kindness even after the attack, asking if he was harmed, ensuring he was treated well in custody. He has requested permission to speak." Maya looked surprised as the Shadowkin was brought forward, still in custody but treated with dignity. His natural camouflage was under control now, making him fully visible. "Dr. Chen," the assassin said, his voice steadier than before. "I have never failed a contract until today, but I have also never been shown mercy by a target. You could have killed me easily. Instead, you asked if I was hurt. You protected me from guards who wanted to respond harshly." The assassin's form shimmered with what might have been emotion. "I was taught that strength means domination. You showed me that strength can mean protection. I formally withdraw from my profession and request asylum to study human philosophy. If Earth will have me." Maya's eyes widened. "If Earth joins the council, you would be welcome to visit and learn. We believe in second chances." The assassin bowed deeply before being escorted away. The gesture had clearly moved many in the assembly. Chancellor Vemora spoke again. "Several delegates have requested to speak before the vote." Ambassador Thuris of the Delphari. The aquatic being's tank moved forward, her bioluminescence pulsing in patterns of deep thought. "I have lived for 300 years. I have seen many species join this council. But I have never seen a demonstration quite like today's." She paused, her lights flickering. Dr. Chen crushed a molecular blade with her bare hand. This terrified me. But then she released her attacker unharmed and spoke of breaking cycles of violence. This moved me. The question before us is simple. Do we trust humans to continue choosing peace? I believe we must give them that chance. I vote yes. Ambassador Kelrix of the Photon Collective spoke next. "My species exists as pure energy. We are fragile in many ways, vulnerable to disruption. The idea of beings with such physical strength is frightening. But Dr. Chen has spent 3 days among us, gentle with everyone she met. Her actions over days matter more than a single dramatic moment. I vote yes." One by one, delegates stood to speak. Some expressed lingering concerns. Others spoke of being impressed by Maya's character. The Saurix delegate mentioned that his own species was physically powerful but had learned restraint. The Vaxian security chief noted that Maya had reported threats but refused excessive protection, showing trust in the system. Finally, it was time for the vote itself. All in favor of granting Earth membership in the Galactic Council, Chancellor Vemora announced. Lights began, illuminating throughout the chamber, blue for yes, red for no. Maya watched as the voting board filled with colors. Blue dominated, though scattered red lights showed that some species remained unconvinced. The final count appeared, 247 in favor, 53 opposed. By a strong majority, Earth is granted full membership in the Galactic Council, Vemora declared. Dr. Maya Chen, welcome to the galactic community. The chamber erupted in a mixture of applause, clicks, chimes, and various species-specific sounds of approval. Maya stood, tears streaming down her face, and bowed deeply to the assembly. Thank you, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Humanity will strive every day to prove worthy of your trust. We come as students eager to learn, as friends ready to help, and as partners committed to building a better future for all species. Zikthar was the first to approach her, though he still maintained a respectful distance. Congratulations, Ambassador Chen. Yes, I said Ambassador. I suspect that will be your new title. Maya laughed through her tears. I'm still just a scientist who studies plants. You're much more than that now, Zikthar replied. You're the being who taught the galaxy that strength and gentleness are not opposites, but companions. Later that evening, Maya stood once more at the observation window. Behind her, the door opened. She turned to find the Shadowkin assassin, now released from custody and wearing simple civilian clothing. Dr. Chen, he said hesitantly, may I ask you something? Of course. When you caught the blade, why did you look sad? Maya considered the question carefully. Because violence is always sad, even when it's necessary for defense. Because someone felt they had to hire you to solve a problem. Because you believed killing was your only path. Because Ambassador Thorax thought murder would achieve his goals. All of that sadness, all of that wasted potential for better choices, yes, it made me sad. The Shadowkin was quiet for a long moment. My name is Veeth. I would like to learn more about this human concept of choosing peace. I would be honored to teach you, Veeth, Maya said warmly. As they talked, a new ship appeared in the distance, the Earth vessel carrying the full ambassadorial team and support staff. Humanity's journey into the galactic community was truly beginning. Maya smiled, watching the ship approach. She thought about her home planet, where billions of humans lived their lives trying to be better, to build bridges instead of walls, to choose understanding over conflict. They weren't perfect. They would make mistakes. But they would face the galaxy the same way she had faced the Council, with open hands, honest hearts, and the courage to be vulnerable. The blade had been crushed between her fingers, but trust was being built between species. And trust, Maya knew, was stronger than any metal could ever be. In the coming years, the story of the human ambassador who caught a blade and chose mercy would spread throughout the galaxy. It would become legend. Some species would remain wary of human strength, but most would come to appreciate human restraint. And whenever new species asked about humanity, the council members would tell them, they are strong beyond measure, but they choose kindness. That is what makes them remarkable. Maya returned to Earth a month later, celebrated as a hero. But she always insisted she was simply a person who made a choice. The same choice humanity had been making for generations. The choice to be better tomorrow than they were today. The choice that changed everything.